point. It's time now to sit back and enjoy the action. It's Hearts against Celtic, live from Tynecastle, for a place in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup with Alan Preston, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
In the Edinburgh sunshine here at Tynecastle Park, down the Gorgie Road, Celtic handed one of the toughest Scottish Cup assignments they could have been handed here. Probably only Ibrox would have been more difficult than this one, as Hearts put their terrific home record, by and large and relatively speaking, up against the Celtic juggernaut just now. It's the 34th time they've met in the Scottish Cup. Hearts have won 7 to Celtic's 21. They've only beaten Celtic in the Scottish Cup at Tynecastle Park once, and that was back in 1987. The last Scottish Cup win over them all told was the 2012 semi. Scatchell and Beattie scoring either side of a Hooper equaliser. The last 2 goals in that match at Hampden coming in the last few minutes. The smoke billowing from the away end off to our left across the pitch. The Celtic players are about to go into their traditional pre-match huddle. Celtic have won the last 4 Scottish Cup meetings, including 2 here in round 5 and 4 respectively. The first of those was a 7-0 victory in 2013 under Neil Lennon. Chris Common scored a hat-trick, well, there was even a double for Captain Brown. Van Dijk got a couple the following season in a 4-0 win in round 4, and of course this has been the final of this competition a couple of times in the last few seasons. Celtic squeezed through on penalties in 2020. Christopher Ayer with a winning kick, but Hearts had a glorious opportunity to lift the trophy and end Celtic's quadruple treble hopes. Stephen Kingsley and Craig Whiten failed from the spot though, and Celtic won it as they try and find another treble. If they do, it would take their tally to 8, which would be 1 more than Rangers. Celtic are going to kick this game off. They're going to shoot towards the Gorgie Road in this first half. We're up at the back of the Wheatfield stand, just under the TV cameras. So Celtic kick off, green and white hoop shirts, white shorts, green and white socks left to right, and Hearts all in maroon with white flashes will shoot towards the school end as Celtic pick up with Starfelt, and he rolls into Carter-Vickers. It's Clark in goal for Hearts, Hill, Sibbick and Rowles, Smith and Kingsley, Grant Kimmert, Soglu, Halliday with Mackay off Ginnelly, as Celtic come flying down the left-hand side with Haksabanovic, level with the 6-yard line, up against Michael Smith. Rolls it back to Greg Taylor, goes to 2 of the 5 changes made. Ranch Postecoglou, Hatate shoots! Oh, Clark's got a touch onto that, and that's gone behind for the corner. Celtic cutting the Hearts defence open in the opening minute of the cup tie.
That's a brilliant save from Zander Clark, but what a poor start from Hearts. Celtic are all over them at the moment. Lovely hit, great save.
Yeah. Shota's cross, headed away by Smith. Only as far as Callum McGregor, who hits it in the half volley over the crossbar. They've had 2 pops at the Hearts goal, and that's minute 1 just completed. 0-0 though.
Yeah, it was a wonderful save from Zander Clark. Celtic getting down right from the start. They get in behind with Haksabanovic. They eventually come back out, and that man Hatate, we talked about him before the game. He loves it here, and he picks out a really good strike from just inside the left side of the box and try to curl it around the goalkeeper. And big Zander Clark, good hand, keeps Hearts in this game early on.
There's 2 bites at the goal already though for Celtic, and that'll be a major concern for Robbie Nielsen, who's already prowling around his technical area over on the far side. The Celtic team is Hart in goal, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Starfelt and Taylor, Moy, McGregor, Hatate, Jota and Haksabanovic up there with Kyogo. Here comes Jota into the area, goal! Moy! Aaron Moy from 8 yards out, smashes it past Zander Clark, and it's the dream start for the Cup favourites, the League Cup winners. And the Scottish champions hit the frontier at Tynecastle inside 2 minutes. Aaron Moy smashing it home, and it's Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, an incredible start from Celtic, and they exploit down the wide areas. We talked about it before the game, how important. I think it was Rowles that came all the way out and missed his tackle on Jota, and Jota just went by him and then just took his time, progressed up the pitch, and he had players arriving in the box, and a really good finish from Aaron Moy. Just kept his head down on the ball, and good control to finish into the back of the net.
Well, dream start for Celtic, Alan Preston, but an absolute nightmare for Hearts.
Honestly, two of them jump out to try and get to Johnson. Then Rowells, I don't know if he gets his feet caught or what, but he's all over the place, Rowells. He seems to miss the ball completely. And Jota goes up the line. You see Kyogo makes a lovely run, but he picks out Moy, who's coming in at the edge of the box, and it's a wonderful finish. Dreadful start from Hearts. But so many things wrong in that Hearts formation by not knowing when to go at once. Then Rowells misses the ball. It's their own doing.
Celtic in front early on. It's the early goal that they tend to score. They normally do breach within the first 15 minutes of games, and then they build up to that crescendo again towards the business end of matches as well. As Carter-Vickers collects and rolls it out to this near side for Johnston, who finds the goal scorer Moy, who's found his scoring touch. That's him up to 6 for the season. Scored a few penalties, including a couple across the city here against Hibernian. The Celtic elect on the left, a long ball towards Kyogo. It's like to bounce. Kingsley will nod it back to Xander Clark, but to pull off an excellent save from Rio Hatate earlier. McGregor with a half volley over the bar, and then Aaron Moy had the goal gaping in front of him. It was there for him, and he smashes Celtic into the lead. It's going to be very difficult for Hearts.
Yeah, the goalkeeper had no chance because Moy struck it really well, and he had no chance on that strike. But yeah, we did talk about Rose stepping out into areas where probably
a big challenge by Ginnelly.
He shouldn't go. And the other thing with Alistair Johnson, he's more a traditional fullback. He can almost is playing wide and on the right hand side, not going into that sort of inverted fullback. That means that Andy Halliday is such a distance to try to get out to him because the wing back is tucked back alongside Jota, and that's a real shift for one of the midfielders.
Kevin Clancy in charge. Today's the 2018 final. He did Hearts win in the last round at New Douglas Park against Hamilton. That's the first goal they've conceded in the Cup this season. They had the 3-0 win at Easter Road in round 4. Celtic, of course, beat Morton and St Mirren at home to set up this tie. As Moy wins it back on this near side. Keogh went in, he would have been late as well. Doesn't get a touch on Moy though, he finds Kyogo all over him. There was Hill, who did very well actually, and Kingsley can't keep the ball under control, and Moy finds McGregor, and now it's with Johnston. We played 6 minutes, Hearts 0, Celtic 1, but already the home fans on top of their own players here. You can understand that. They're not getting a touch of the ball, and when they do, they're giving it away.
Yeah, we won't see it till later on. I think Richard may see it in the studio on Kenny. I'm sure it's Kingsley and Halliday that maybe jump out. Instead of one going, both of them go, so they're out of position, and then Rowells misses the ball completely as it goes down the side of him, which allows Jota to go. Hearts have not started, they're not even in the game. 6.5 minutes, it's been all Celtic so far.
Yeah, they can't get a touch of the ball, Alan. You know, it's Celtic just controlling the tempo, controlling the game by keeping good possession, and then of course creating them a couple of chances that we talked about. They would create chances, and then to take their chance and be 1-0 up at this stage in a cup tie at Tynecastle. Really good start from them.
It was 14 minutes into the game when they scored the opening goal the last time. That 7-goal thriller. Celtic coming through 4-3. As James Forrest scored on 14, Kyogo scored on 13 in the previous meeting in Glasgow. It was Hearts who hit the front the other night early on. But they are behind here as Barry Mackay collects midway inside his own half. Feeds it to Rowells, who'll then stroke it out to Kingsley on the near side. And back to Kai Rowells. The last time Celtic scored the first goal in a domestic match and lost it was the semis last season against Rangers, who are the only team to knock them out of this tournament since 2015, when they were controversially beaten by Cali Thistle. As Kai Rowells hits it long, and there's rather Toby Civic does. He got it from Rowells, puts all the way through to Joe Hart. 1-0 to the visitors, almost 8 minutes in.
Well, we're talking about the Celtic getting into, don't get them in the rhythm, don't let them play and start. They've already started, you can see the rhythm, you can see McGregor getting on the ball. Moy's the one that can get forward, as I've already seen with the goal. They're just playing at a tempo that Hearts can't get near at the moment.
It's quite passive from Hearts as well. As Hart plays it short here to Carter-Vickers, out to Johnston on the near side touch.
See, and this is where you don't walk round. This is your left centre half. Coming virtually to play left wing. This is not working. Rowells is
too far. It's too far to come all the way into Celtic's, almost halfway in Celtic's half. He did that the other night also, and I just think you've got to leave it at that point in time.
The problem for Robbie Neilson is if he's toying with the idea of making an early change, even if it's just a tactical tweak, is that this cup tie could get away from them very quickly. Celtic could score 2-3 goals in quick succession against any side right now.
I'd wonder if he would actually even flip to a back four.
Yeah, I think so, Alan, because Alistair Johnston's getting so much of the ball out here, and the distance that Andy Halliday has got to come from his almost midfield position as a three in there, it's too far.
And Pat, watch this. We're looking here. Kingsley.
Yeah, long ball. Carter-Vickers looking for Kyogo, a bit too much on it this time.
Kingsley doesn't know whether to go to Johnson or stay with Jota. He doesn't know. He's in a half-and-half position. And it's difficult because he's then asking Rowells to run 30-40 yards to try and get to a man.
There's James Hill over on the right for Hearts. His ball towards George Grant is cut out. Smith then Grant, and then picked up on the far side by Haksabanovic, challenged by Hill and out for a throw-in to Celtic right in front of the visiting technical area. And Ange Postecoglou with his hands in his pockets over there will be absolutely elated with the start that his team has made. They've been as impressive in this current run that they're on right now as they have been at any point really in the last few decades, and they've had periods of dominance under O'Neill, under Rodgers, under Lennon, and now under Postecoglou. They've only lost 3 of the last 53 domestic cup ties. This is a winning machine, not just this season. Right now it's looking now impossible to see anyone knocking them off their perch as Jota picks up on the near side, level with the 18. Now he's level with the penalty spot. Now he's at the byline. He wins the corner off Kingsley. It is Hearts 0, Celtic 1. We played 10.
It's just waves of attack at the moment. Celtic are going from one side of the pitch to the other, getting out to Jota one side, Haksabanovic the other side. Kyogo's making darting runs. Moyes the one supporting. Robbie's going to have to do something. He's going to have to come up with something to get them in the game.
This just highlights the chasm between Celtic and the sides from 3rd down to 12th in the Premiership this season. This is on paper the most difficult fixture out of that. As the corner comes in, Kyogo got his head to it, Smith didn't. That's a worry as well. Kyogo's header's gone miles wide. It's going to be a goal kick to Hearts. No danger this time, but that's another worrying situation there. Michael Smith didn't even seem to jump for that. 11 in, 1-0 Celtic.
Yeah, I think Kyogo was cute. He almost used his body to almost knock Michael Smith off his balance first before the ball came in, and then he had the edge on him.
Hearts played it short from the back and almost gave it away in the midfield, but it's won back well by Carter-Vickers, who finds Kingsley, and now Mackay, won back well by Johnston. It's been a good shine in Alistair Johnston. He's replaced Josip Juranovic in the Celtic team after his departure to Union Berlin, as McGregor pings it forward, but it comes all the way through to Clark, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1. I suppose Hearts just need to get through these first few rounds, if you like, because they're being battered from pillar to post. We're 11 and a half in, they're just 1-0 down. They need to ensure that that deficit does not enlarge in the next 5-10 minutes or so, because every chance it will, as Jota comes towards the edge of the box, blocked by Halliday, and it's out for a Celtic throw-in on the near side.
I'm just wondering if they could push Civic into the middle of the park, Pat, and go with a flat back four. Civic's played in there before.
Well, what it allows you then is you can another player higher up on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and they can put a little bit more pressure on the full-backs, because so far Alistair Johnston is just running the show because he's got so much space.
There's Hatate twisting away from Carter-Vickers, who fights back well, wins it back, gets it back from Mackay, then runs into the man package he's been talking about in Johnston. Hearts emerge with the loose ball though. Kingsley on the near side to Halliday, then to Kingsley. He's under pressure from Jota. He's just nicked it off him, and Jota's now moving into the Hearts penalty area. He's at the byline, pulls it back. Moy controls in the chest. He's got his back to goal now. Uses the overlapping Taylor, whose cross is blocked. Breaks back to Moy, and then to Taylor at the left angle of the Hearts penalty area. 13th minute of the game. Celtic 1-0 up and looking for a second here, as Taylor turns and moves it all the way back to Starfelt. Again, Hearts giving it away, and this time it was Stephen Kingsley who was robbed by Jota. You just got to be on your toes all the time, and sometimes that's not enough against this Celtic team. It's Johnston out to Jota again, but he's just come back from an offside position, and Hearts will have a free kick. They will take a little bit of a deep breath here. 13 in, Hearts 0, Celtic 1. There's only one team in this game right now.
Yeah, and Giannelli's forced back also to help his team away over in his own half, and he really needs to stay up there and try to be an out ball if Hearts do get a chance to win it. But they haven't really touched the ball properly in this game so far. Celtic have pressed him also when he did have the ball, and they've given the ball away.
Another ball given away. This time it's Grant, and he gets away with it because it bounced off Kyogo and out for a throw into Hearts on that
see
far
Andy
side.
Halliday telling them to settle down. You know, the Hearts are trying to do everything 100 mile an hour. They have to just take their time, try and play themselves into the game.
Not easy against Celtic, though.
It's not, but when you've got the ball in your hands, take your time, Pat. You slow the game down a little bit. It's hectic at the moment. They can't get a touch.
Long throw in by Hill into the Celtic half, bounces and bobbles away from Ginnelly. Starfelt's challenge, Ginnelly can't get there, and Carter-Vickers clears. Hill heads it down onto the chest of Grant. He's level with the edge of the centre circle in the Celtic half, finds Smith. His pass down the line's cut out by Taylor, though. McGregor will pick it up and roll it back to the edge of his own box for Carter-Vickers. 14 in, Hearts 0, Celtic 1. It's a long ball, Carter-Vickers to Haksabanovic. He's in loads of space. Hits it with the outside of the boot for some reason, straight through to Zander Clark, and he's got loads of yards in front of him if he wanted to eat up some more of the Tynecastle pitch there.
It was a great ball from Carter-Vickers, spotted, and I did say that they would try more kind of balls over the top and from a longer distance. That was a brilliant pass, but Haxa playing over on that left-hand side, and he is very right-footed, and that time he tried to play with the outside of his foot into an area and got it all wrong.
Well, Wednesday night's win against Hearts means Celtic have won their last 12 successive matches in all competition since drawing at Ibrox at the start of January. Unbeaten in their last 20 since losing to Real Madrid. They're unbeaten in 26 domestically since losing in Paisley in September. And they've scored 84 goals in that 26-game domestic run as well. Make that 85 today. As Johnston moves it back to Joe Hart at the edge of his own box. 15 and a half in. And now it's with Starfelt, who at walking pace takes it up to halfway, then passes it to the left for Taylor. Low ball infield. Here's Hatate, midway inside Hearts territory, rolls it square to Johnston, outside of the boot, flicks it to the right angle of the box for Jota. Jota up against Kingsley, decides to take it to a central area, pushes it to Taylor. Taylor's bang in the middle of the pitch there as he finds Johnston. Back to Taylor. Two fullbacks combining, and of course the Celtic fullbacks love to come into that central midfield area as Carter-Vickers finds Moy. And Taylor's not even bothering with his positioning on the left-hand side right now as Johnston picks up on this near side. He might have to retreat now, though, right enough, because Johnston's been forced back into his own half by Halliday. And now it's back with Carter-Vickers. 16 in, 1-0 Celtic.
Yeah, well, they know that they can. Alistair Johnston, who comes under a little bit of pressure, he can step back out, and he's got the centre half always giving him that depth that he can play back to, and yeah, just keeping control of the ball, Celtic.
Remember, Cali Thistle have already booked their place in the semis. Who will be the second? As it stands, it'll be Celtic. Haksabanovic collects on the far side, gets away from Grant, finds Taylor, back to Haksabanovic, back to Taylor, he loses it. Now it's James Hill moving it infield to Halliday. Can Hearts get a foothold in this game? Weathered, well, listen, relatively speaking, they've weathered since the goal went in. They've weathered what Celtic have thrown at them.
Yeah, the fans are having a go at Halliday there, but as he's looking forward, there's nothing to hit. Absolutely nothing to hit.
James Hill's just giving it away with the long ball, which is what the Hearts fans were hoping Halliday was going to do. And James Hill just showing why it's such a difficult thing to try and execute when you've only really got Josh Ginnelly up there. Barry Mackay will try and support this afternoon, but he's going to do a bit of backtracking as well. As Carter-Vickers picks up and rolls it back to his goalkeeper.
I still think Hearts would be better going into a flat four, pushing Sibbick into the middle of the park. Say to Kingsley, Jota's your man. Say to Smith, Haksabanovic is your man, and the two centre halves, which would then be go and pick up. Just go and pick up Kyogo when you can. One of you, whenever he comes into your area.
Problem is, Alan, when Rangers were here not so long ago, the most recent one, he waited till they were 2-0 down before changing things. So I know it didn't work, but they were already 2-0 down, and it was too late to make the change by that point, you felt. At 1-0, still in it. 4-3 it was between the sides last time. Topsy-turvy game. Here McSoglu coming forward for Hearts. He's managed to find Halliday in the box, pulls it back across, and it's cleared on the 6-yard line by Taylor. Really good play. That's Hearts coming alive for the first time in the game. But of course they've committed forward, and Celtic are going to hit them on the counter. There's at least one, if not two, fouls by Keir McSoglu. First on Kyogo and then on Hatate in the centre circle. and that will be a free kick to Celtic. But that's Hart's best moment in the game, 18 and a half minutes in. And if that falls to a maroon shirt, it's probably 1-1.
Yeah, it's nice play by Hart's on the left-hand side. It's Halliday that gets there, he squares it across. It's a nice play by Kyogo as well, lovely pass to Halliday. And as he peels it across, it's right to a Celtic player in the middle of the 6-yard box. Hearts just couldn't get enough. And that's, again, if you have a natural striker there, Liam, with the instincts to be in the right place at the right time, instead of, because of circumstances, they're playing wingers up front that maybe don't make that natural run.
Yeah, of course, Shankland's a big miss, but in particular when you consider he scored a hat-trick here against Celtic. He was the first domestic player to score a hat-trick against Celtic since Frank McDougall scored 4 for Aberdeen in a game at Pittodrie in October '85. So they don't come along too often. Almost 40 years. In the case of McDougall and then Shankland, it was all for nothing though. Celtic run away with the 3 points in any case. 19 and a half in at Tynecastle. 1-0 to Celtic. And the throw-in over on the far side to be taken by James Hill, level with the edge of the centre circle. There's going to be a good few opportunities for some of the lower league sides in this competition. Of course, we've got Falkirk here, which will guarantee there'll be 2 lower league teams at least. Wraith Rovers will try and make that 3 when they go to Ibrox tomorrow. So that goes out of play for a Celtic throw-in level with their own 18-yard line. And Greg Taylor's going to take 20 minutes just about played with Celtic leading 1-0, but the game's calmed down a little bit, and I know Celtic can go through the gears very quickly indeed, but it suits Hearts the slower this game is. Kiermont Zoglu goes down under the challenge of Moy, and that's been given as a free kick by Kevin Clancy to Hearts, just about 6 yards inside Celtic territory over in the Hearts right in front of Robbie Nielsen and Lee McCullough's technical.
Yeah, it gives Hearts an opportunity to get some of their centre halves up into that sort of kind of forward line with this free kick. It's well back though, it's almost about 4 or 5 yards just over the halfway line on the right out on the right hand side. So it's all about the second ball, I think, here.
George Grant flights it into the Celtic box, headed away by Carter-Vickers. Jota helps it on its way, Mackay can't control, McGregor heads forward. And it's collected by Smith on the halfway line. He's under pressure, but he manages to find a good ball out to Kingsley on the near side. Tati's all over him. Kingsley steps away from him, plays it off Jota and out for a Hearts throw-in on this near side. It's been a period of calm for those in maroon just these last few minutes.
Yeah, they managed to get their foot on the ball a little bit. You look at the work rate of Kyogo, and you look how Haksabanovic is next up. He just closed the Hearts players down. Celtic have got quality all over. Liam, as we've seen, it's difficult for any side to beat Celtic this season. Under Ange Postecoglou, they're a winning machine. You've got to be on your game, you've got to ride your luck, you've got to be tactically spot on to get anything.
Kiermont Zoglu, a dreadful ball forward out to this left-hand side. He's apologising to Michael Smith, and rightly so, because Smith was in a good area on the right. He decided to float it out to this left-hand side, and it goes out for a throw into Celtic. Harmless stuff, and really poor ball by Kiermont Zoglu. It's picked up by Johnston, forward towards Hatate, good control, he's slipping it through, and an important slide there by Rowles to block it from getting to Jota. Grant as well, up the other end, he's been brought down, and Mackay was held by Taylor.
At least 1 booking, if not 2.
Kevin Clancy's going to bring it back for the one in the centre circle on George Grant.
Yeah, it was Callum McGregor. He was overstretching, I think, George Grant, and he almost just got his toe to the ball and clashed into Callum. I don't think there was anything really, and I know the crowd reacted to it, which you would expect in a cup tie, Alan, but I didn't think there was much in it.
No, again, it's a heavy challenge, Pat. Then the second one's a pull back, the jersey of Mackay. By the letter of the law, jersey pulls a yellow card.
Yeah, he's pulled it back. I think just as the jersey was being pulled, he's made the decision to bring it back for the free kick inside the centre circle. Kevin Clancy. So in effect, that second phase doesn't count anymore, as Grant takes the free kick, angled to the right-hand side of the Celtic box. A good leap by Hill, comes back here, goal! What a save by Hart! The rebound's wide! What a chance it was! And Joe Hart, one of the most underworked goalkeepers in Scottish football, has pulled off a magnificent brilliant save there to deny Toby Sibbick, who must be scratching his head and wondering how on earth he's not equalised.
Wow, what a save that was. It looked in the back of the net all the way, and he's pulled out a magnificent save low down to his left-hand side, and then reacted to the second ball, which was more important. But I think Sibbick following up, so real bravery on the second phase from Joe Hart. Brilliant save.
It was some save from him. A really good touch by Sibbick, and he quickly turns and hits it. It was a free kick, well worked. Hill to the back post. He was out jumped. Kyogo was the one that was picking him up. He's knocked it across. Sibbick, lovely turn and hit. And I thought Hart's going one way, the ball's going the other. I thought it was going in, but what a save!
It's magnificent goalkeeping. About to hit 24. We're beyond the quarter mark. Hearts have their first corner. Kevin Clancy's not happy with something before the corner's taken. He's gone to speak to James Hill, who's mixing it with Hart and Johnston on the goal line. Yeah,
what he's doing, he's standing behind Joe Hart, which is really difficult then and he's moving around just to try to put Joe Hart off.
In comes the corner out swinger from Grant, flicked away there by Moy, the goal scorer. Ginelli takes it down left-hand side of the box, pulls it back to Kieran Zoglu, who works it back to Ginelli on the near side. Level the edge of the D of the Celtic box on the touchline on this Hearts left. Ginelli, two Celtic players around him, and he wins the corner off Greg Taylor. Good response all of a sudden. Hearts have come to the party at last. 24 and a half in, 1-0 Celtic.
It's been great, Liam. Good response from him, as you said. And we touched on it at the start of the game. Set plays. You know, the free kick for the initial, and Sibbick gets the shot. That corner there keeps the pressure on, and Ginelli winning the corner against Taylor there.
In swinging corner from Grant, this time from the near side, and it comes. It's bounced on the 6-yard line off Starfelt, and Celtic get it away. Mackay will pick it up over on that right-hand side. Finds Sibbick, looks to flight the ball into the box again, blocked by Carter-Vickers. Excellent defending, and out it goes for a throw-in.
This is where I know Michael Smith's going up to take it. They should just leave it to Hill. Hill can throw this in right into Joe Hart's, the middle of the goals.
Yeah, this is the advantage that most teams have in Celtic because of lack of height. And Celtic have done well in that department over probably a number of games now, but this is a real pressure on them.
Level with the penalty spot. Hill with a long throw into the box, headed away by Starfelt to the edge of the area. Smith hits it, and it's well wide as he apologises to his teammates. Hearts 0, Celtic 1. Better though from Hearts, 25 and a half minutes in. And again, I mentioned their package. Joe Hart, one of the most underworked goalkeepers in the Scottish Premiership just now. It's because Celtic do most of the attacking in their games, and it just shows you the class of the man to make a save like that when he doesn't have to make too many of them these days.
Sorry, Liam, again, Halliday and Kingsley are at a mix-up, and Moy's on his own.
This is Jota for Hatate, level with the Hearts penalty spot. Looking for an option in green and white in the middle. Lead two, and Kyogo and Haksabanovic plays it to Johnston instead. He finds Moy to Hatate. Lovely movement by Jota at the byline, chips it back towards the back end of the box where Taylor volleys it. It's blocked. Hatate shoots, whistle goes, offside flags up, and it's Hearts 0, Celtic 1 on 26 and a half.
You can see them having a discussion. Halliday, Kermit, Zoglu and Kingsley. They've got to get it sorted. Only one goes to the ball. Again, both of them charge forward, which really exposes Rowells as the left centre half. In turn, no one's on Moy, who quickly gets turned, and Celtic are on the attack again. Robbie needs to sort it out, that who's going to go. One has to go, not two.
Alan, I talked about concentration, but I also talked about communication. That is something that the players need to sort out almost among themselves. Very difficult for the manager over on that side. He could do it at half time, or he make it a messenger, but these are experienced players. They should be able to deal with that themselves.
But even if you're on Aaron Moy, don't leave him. Don't take yourself out of the game.
Long ball there by Clark, comes off the head of Johnston, then off the head of Halliday, and out for a throw-in on this near side for Celtic, which that free kick's been given for a push by Halliday. It'll be a free kick to be taken by Johnston. So Hearts 0, Celtic 1 on 27 minutes. To come later today on Sportside, there will be commentary from the Championship at 3 o'clock as Greenock Morton look to try and push for the playoffs up against Partick Thistle today. Both those clubs looking for a promotion playoff place. 3 o'clock kick-off, and we'll have all the news from Leagues 1 and 2 as well. As the chip ball from Johnston's cushion headed away by Kingsley. Now it's Rowells looking for Halliday. Johnston We'll leave it for McGregor, and McGregor gets himself away from Halliday. Now he jinks forward Callum McGregor towards the edge of the Hearts box. Lovely little ball there, reverse through to Kyogo, who can't get there, and it comes through to Zander Clark. He's just such a menace, Kyogo Furuhashi. And when you've got players like Aaron Moy and Callum McGregor and Reo Hatate behind you, threading balls through to you on an almost constant basis, it's so difficult for the defenders to be able to read where it's going, let alone follow the player who it's intended for.
Well, you've got to match the run from Kyogo, that's the first thing, but you also, a midfielder's got to take the responsibility and stopping Callum McGregor. He runs through 2 or 3 players too easily, and they're getting, as I say, they're probably caught in the lights at the moment. They don't know what to do. Who do I go to? Do I pick up, you know, the man I'm designated to, or when there's danger like that with Callum, you've got to deal with him. He's the danger. He's the guy on the ball. Hearts 0, Celtic 1.
Callum McGregor will be certain, I would imagine, to be in Steve Clarke's Scotland squad, which will be announced during the week for those 2 opening Euro 2024 qualifying matches against Cyprus and Spain. We have a few others out on the pitch today who will also have designs on that squad. Greg Taylor will be one. Zander Clark looks like he'll be in as well, as Hatate picks up at the edge of the centre circle and finds Johnston. Johnston will leave it for Jota on this near side's level the Hearts 18-yard line. Back to Hatate, misunderstanding, but Jota gets there anyway. He's going the other way, bounces back the way, now he's drifting infield, flicks him to the outside of the right boot to Haksabanovic inside the box. Little ball there to Taylor at the byline, his attempted pull-back blocked brilliantly by James Hill, and then lashed away by Michael Smith up to halfway, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1 as we knock on the half-hour mark here at Tynecastle.
Lovely play again by Jota coming off his wing. Fantastic pass to the outside of the right foot, but good defending by Hill in the right back area.
Celtic pick up with Taylor to Starfelt. No club has been more successful in the Scottish Cup than Celtic has. Carter-Vickers leaves it for Hatate, and Hatate sweeps it from right to left of the centre circle for Starfelt. Steps across halfway, right-footed, long ball down that left-hand side, looking for Haksabanovic. Just drift away from him though. And behind it goes for the goal kick, and it will stay Hearts 0, Celtic 1. 30 on the clock. Yeah,
you can see that little cross over there, Greg Taylor going into midfield, and I think it was Aaron Moy then trying to get out into his position and just trying to confuse Hearts midfielder, but Starfelt just picked the wrong pass.
There's Halliday, fouled by Moy. Free kick Hearts on the halfway line, left of the centre circle. Free kick only. Kevin Clancy, the Hearts fans were hoping he was going to produce a yellow card there for the Australia international Moy, whose goal's the difference between the two in the Scottish Cup tie. Still 2/3 of it to play. Remember, we'll play to a finish. If it does finish as a draw, extra time and penalties. No replays in the Scottish Cup these days. As Rowles takes the free kick for Mackay, who knocks it out to Kingsley on this near side. Back in field for Barry Mackay, looks up, it's an angled ball into the box. Taylor will let it go. He knew there was no danger behind him. Smith was the closest Hearts player, it was nowhere near him really, and it goes behind for the goal kick, and it will stay Hearts 0, Celtic 1 on 31.
I think it was the right ball, just didn't execute it right. Smith is holding his width on the right hand side. I don't know if it was a better pass by Barry Mackay.
Celtic in possession with Starfelt, out to the touchline for Taylor, and back it comes to Carl Starfelt, who rolls it across his own box for Carter-Vickers.
Look at Rowles again. Rowles doesn't know whether to go or stay.
It is Moy. Rowles has come into the Celtic half here as Kieran Matsoglu fails to win the ball back off Johnston. He puts him under enough pressure to force Carter-Vickers to have to race down towards the corner flag to clear. Jota finds Moy, back to Jota, hooks it over his head into the centre circle. It comes off the head of Hill, comes off the head of McGregor. When it eventually settles over on that far side, though. Greg Taylor's under pressure from Grant to challenge it, and out it goes for the throw-in to Celtic. But the Hearts supporters they're happier now because they're seeing plenty of effort from their players, and they're getting in Celtic faces now. They're going into challenges that they perhaps weren't doing in the opening 10 minutes of the game. Celtic took the lead inside 2, and that was their 3rd attempt on goal.
That's what you've got to do, let me beat Celtic. You know, they're a quality side. You've got to be in their faces. You've got to make sure you don't give them a minute on the ball if you can.
It's with Zander Clark, it's the edge of his own box, dinks it out to Kingsley on the near side. First time ball towards Halliday. Across comes Carter-Vickers, holding off Andy Halliday on the near side. And he plays it off Halliday and out for a Celtic throw.
Strong Carter-Vickers, using all that strength that he has there just to get between the ball and Andy Halliday, and then having the ability to almost keep control of the ball. You don't see that too often with centre halves.
The attendance inside Tynecastle, 16,287. That's just been announced. Starfelt picks up. There are some empty seats over in the main stand over on the far side, as Johnston collects and rolls it infield to Hatate at the edge of the Hearts box, trying to squeeze it through to Jota. It's blocked away by Grant, but only as far as Taylor. Here's Moy on the turn for Haksabanovic. Level with 18, pokes it forward to Moy in the box. Early low ball across, cut out by Sibic, and out it goes for a throw-in over on the far side to Celtic, from the Celtic left as they attack the goal to the right. We're almost on 34 minutes. Rangers Wraith Rovers to come tomorrow. It's a 1 o'clock kick-off at Ibrox, and then on Monday evening at the Falkirk Stadium, the Bairns take on Ayr. Here comes Celtic. Hatate, he's in behind. Hatate shoots, blocked there by Clark. Breaks to Haksabanovic, plays it across the face of goal. Clark gets a touch onto it again and gets it away as Kieran Zoglu claims it came off Greg Taylor's arm. Hatate was in, and he's on it here, just outside the box. Finds Jota, and then Moy. Moy will pass it back the way to Carter-Vickers.
Well, they can thank Zander Clark again with a two big saves actually, right in succession. But the first one, lovely little play between Kyogo, Hatate, and flicking over the top of defenders and getting in. Hatate probably should have scored.
Here comes Celtic. Haksabanovic down that left-hand side, up against Smith, twists and moves it back to the left angle of the box for Hatate. Fires it back the way to Johnston, bounces off him. The Hearts fans want their players to be closer to the Celtic ones. Here comes Johnston down the right. Halliday's to get it right, does he? In comes the cross, and it's missed everyone eventually. I think it might have come off a Hearts head and out for a throw-in on the far side to Celtic. But that was a really risky challenge by Andy Halliday, just inside the box to the right-hand side of it. And they'll obviously be checking everything just now, but he's obviously got some of the ball, even though the ball made its way to the other side of his goal. Yeah,
I'm not sure if he did actually. I think because the cross was such a good cross, they've allowed it to carry on.
Well, they might pull it back then, as Hatate rolls it down the left for Haksabanovic, level with the 6-yard line, up against Grant. We play on for now. Here's Aaron Moy. Aaron Moy in the turn, looking to find space to shoot. He does, it's blocked, and it breaks Stephen Kingsley's way, and he wallops it clear with the left foot into the Celtic half. And Joe Hart comes out to this near side and will leave the throw in for Carter-Vickers to take. Almost in 36. Nervy moment for Hearts there, Alan. If they go 2-0 down, it's probably game, set, and match.
Yes, Pat's right. They've got Zander Clark to thank. 2 really good saves. Lovely play. I think Hatate should score, to be honest, but give Clark all the credit. And then Michael Smith's on his heels. Celtic win it again, and again another good save from Zander Clark.
It's now with Starfelt. Short ball deep inside his own half for Taylor. Back to Starfelt, knocks it forward towards Moy. Good turn, and he's done well. He held off Halliday. Now Hatate has space to run into, driving forward. Rio Hatate down the middle of the pitch, through for Kyogo. A bit too much on it. It's under Kyogo's right boot and right through to Zander Clark. And stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1. The visitors are beginning to click into their groove again here in the capital.
They got out of that press so well from the back. You looked at it and you think Hearts have got them here and they've pinned them in, but a ball into Moy and he just lays it off into the path of Hatate and he drives forward. Just unfortunate that he picks probably the wrong pass. He had 2 or 3 players on his left-hand side. He tried to pick out Kyogo, just overhit the pass, but Hearts were totally exposed once to beat the press.
Yeah, the little flick from Moy took out 5 Hearts players, Pat, completely.
Yeah, it was brilliant midfield play, wasn't it? Celtic throw in midway inside Hearts territory over on the left with Greg Taylor over it. And he's looking for an option in green and white. There's nobody in space at the moment. Haksabanovic is out there, so is Moy. Taylor taking his time. It's the longest I think Celtic have taken to take a throw in this season. Maybe last season as well. Eventually he does. Moy picks up left of the box, cleared by Sibic, and out for another Celtic throw on the far side with 37.5 on the clock. Taylor over it again. He's got a short option in Sead Haksabanovic as it bounces off Smith and out for another Celtic throw, and I mentioned they led that Scottish Cup semi-final last season but lost to Rangers. You've got to go back to a league defeat at Kilmarnock to find the previous example of Celtic going in front and losing a domestic game. As Carter-Vickers rolls it out to Jota, that was in September 2018. Shows how often it happens. Johnston to Jota, little flick by Jota, looking for Moy, headed away by Rowell. Jota gets back onto it, looking for Moy, but Kingsley will see it behind for the goal kick, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1 on 38 minutes. And that's the big positive for Robbie Nielsen, is that they are only 1-0 down here.
Yeah, very much so. You know, Celtic scored early on in the game, could have had another couple. Hearts have had a chance, that chance for Civic, you know, but it's only 1-0, and Robbie's got to believe that his team can get back in it, but they have to get themselves sorted out defensively, and who's picking up who.
Tati kept that in play as he moves it forward, but couldn't find Jota right through to Clark, who finds Civic. Now it's with Hill on the right, back to Civic, who's the central point of the back three. It's a long one for Ginnelly. Is he on or off? Ginnelly will pick it up now. He's driving in. He shoots over the bar. The flash does go up.
That's a really frustrating one, Alan. We keep talking about it week after week. You know, he's about 2 yards offside for me in that instance. The linesman sees it. That's his job, and he doesn't pick it up. I know VAR has got a.
Well, they've got to let it go, because if he scores and they look at the VAR and he was onside, then they've got to let him move on to their conclusion. But I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Any obvious offside like that for me, put the flag up, and it's.
Here's Carter-Vickers on the near side, rolls it to halfway for Moy. He's looking to get a shot in behind Kingsley. He's managed to find him as well. Jota plays it across. It comes off Civic and behind for the corner. Brilliant play by Celtic. 1, 2, 3 passes, and they were almost in for a second. With just over 5 to the break, it stays 1-0 to the visitors. Brilliant
play from Aaron Moy, I've got to say. He's almost facing the stand, and he picks out a brilliant pass over the top for Jota. The weight of the pass also, and he could take it in his stride.
Jota will take the corner on the near side, outswinger with the right boot coming up between the Wheatfield and Gorgie Road end, and it comes. It's a header from Carter-Vickers which sails over the crossbar, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1. Yeah, Aaron Moy, we know how talismanic his countryman and his old international teammate Tom Rogic was for Celtic in the green and white hoops, and Moy has stepped into Rogic's boots at the club, and they don't even miss the mercurial Rogic. Such has been the impact of Aaron Moy.
And I think he's becoming, you know, a starter. He's got to be in that starting 11. He's so important. I think Carter-Vickers is one. McGregor obviously is one. With Moy now, Kyogo, right down the spine of their team.
Hearts giving it away cheaply again. I mean, a lot of these passes they've given away have been unforced errors, and that's the big concern. Their use of the ball has to be better. Has to be better against any team. If you're committing so many unforced errors as Hearts are, but against this Celtic side, all the more important. But they've picked up a loose one from Celtic this time, and Ginnelly's onto it, driving forward up towards the edge of the Celtic box. Good challenge, Carter-Vickers. Halliday keeps it alive, recycles it to Mackay, who plays it across, takes a deflection, and goes right through to Joe Hart. Hearts supporters' eyes lit up just momentarily there, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 1 on 41.
There's a little chance for them there. You know, Halliday's on it, gives it to Mackay. Celtic player gets back, little deflection into Joe Hart's hands. A better play from Ginnelly. At least he's having a goal running at the back four.
Yeah, and Haksabanovic giving the ball away slightly, getting caught in the ball. And we talk about him playing over on the left-hand side. He's so right-footed, Alan, that he keeps coming back on the inside all the time.
Long ball for Kyogo, left-hand side of the box, just bounces away from him though, right through to Clark. Can Hearts find an equaliser before the break? They probably accept being 1-0 down at half-time, in truth. Their bench, Ross Stewart's a sub-goalie, only 6 outfield players, 7 on the bench for Hearts today. Such has been the injury problems that have resurfaced at the club. Atkinson, Devlin, Forrest, Cochrane, Nielsen, Kuhl are on the bench. As Kai Riles knocks it out to Kingsley on the near side, on the halfway line, short to Kiermertsoglu. He's been caught by Johnston. He brought back for a Hearts free kick. Both players are down riding on the turf right now, but it's a Hearts free kick just inside the Celtic half. 1-0 to Celtic.
Yeah, both players back up very quickly. I don't really know what happened there, Alan, whether it was kind of just an accident.
Just a coming together, yeah, it was nothing malicious in it.
Long ball Down the right by James Hill, comes off Starfelt, and out for a Hearts throw-in, which Michael Smith will take about level with the edge of the D of the Celtic box. Bowled back to Hill, infield to Kier Murtsoglu. Into Hill, wins another throw-in off Haksabanovic on the far side. 2 minutes left of the 45.
I suppose that Robbie Nielsen will be delighted that he's gone in with only a goal down and try to sort a few things out at half-time and try to get themselves back into this game. But yeah, Celtic have dominated most of the game. There is a couple of chances for Hearts, but in the main it's been Celtic's probably dominance in this first half.
I think it's just organisation, as in who picks up when Celtic have got the ball. You know, don't get two men to the ball at times. Make sure one of these are picking up Aaron Moy. And if you're Kai Rolls, you don't want to be going playing left wing virtually.
Yeah, good play by Civic to win it back off Hatate. He then catches him. Ginnelly holds off his man, finds Mackay. It's a poor ball back to him by Barry Mackay, though. And Celtic have it with Starfelt. Kevin Clancy might want a word with Rio Hatate next time the ball stops, as Starfelt squares it to Johnston on the near side, heading towards the final minute of the first half, plus whatever Kevin Clancy adds on at the end. Here is Jota on the right for Celtic. Dummy from Hatate. Kyogo wasn't reading it quite as well as he normally does. Allows James Hill to make the challenge to win it back. And now it's with Halliday, looking for Ginnelly in behind Carter-Vickers, but the American international covers across. Seldom gets his positioning wrong, and then Halliday smashes into Johnston down below us, and that goes for a free kick to Celtic. No further action on Halliday, and Johnston knocks it back to Hart. Of course, the Celtic fans love to hate Andy Halliday. He was infamously subbed off just before half-time by Graham Murty when he was a Rangers player playing at left back. He was destroyed that first half, and he was hooked just before the interval. It caused a great deal of animosity between player and manager at the time. It got lingered for a while afterwards. The Celtic fans don't forget that, as Moy collects for Celtic on the near side. It's about 10 seconds left of this first half. Here's Jota for Celtic. How often do they score at this kind of stage? Johnston across, cut out by Rowles, and out it goes for a throw-in down by the corner flag on this near side, taken quickly by Johnston to Moy. Moy, the right angle of the box, pokes it back to Johnston, fires it across, what a goal! Kyogo! Kyogo applauds Alistair Johnston because it was his work, but the little nonchalant flick from Celtic's top scorer was outstanding as well. And just when Hearts thought they were getting to the interval, just one down, Celtic strike again. Kyogo Furuhashi strikes again. He's up to 26 for the season, and it is Hearts 0, Celtic 2, and Celtic have 1 foot now in the semis.
Well, initially Rouse did really well in the near post, clearing the first cross from Alistair Johnston, but the second one, that movement of Kyogo across the defender and a lovely little flick just into the back of the net past Zander Clark. Really great finish, but again somebody has got to cut out that near post. You've got 3 defenders in there, they've gone to sleep a little bit, but the movement of Kyogo, and there's half time.
One of the last kicks of the first half, Alan Preston, and what a kick in the teeth that is for Hearts there. That is a savage blow, and what a boost it is for Celtic.
That's a long way back now, Liam, but again it's pure play. You know, Johnson's got the ball in his hands, Aaron Moy jogs out, gets it, rolls Johnson to the byline. He's under no pressure at all. He just has to whip the ball into the front post, and Kyogo makes a lovely run. Beautiful little flick into the back of the net. Long way back from Hearts now. Robbie's going to have to change it. I don't think he can do it personnel, but he certainly do it shape-wise. Something's got to change.
Yeah, it's a massive task for Hearts. Even before the ball was kicked, it was a massive task. It's double that now. Celtic scoring what looks like a killer blow just before the interval, having scored inside 2 minutes through Aaron Moy, who got it from Jota. Both goals coming from low balls from the right-hand side. Moy just in front of the penalty spot, rifling home after Hatate and McGregor had 2 attempts inside the first minute. It was Celtic who started so well, and they got that early lead. Joe Hart, though, on 23, making an equally important save from Toby Civic on the turn. It looked to be 1-1. Somehow the Celtic goalkeeper made the save, and he saved again on the rebound to keep Hearts out. That was the home team's best opportunity in the first half. Zander Clark saving from Rio Hatate, and again on the rebound up the other end as Celtic looked for a second. It looked like Hearts were going to escape back into the home changing room, just 1 behind at the interval, but with one of the last kicks of the ball, of that first half. Kyogo Furuhashi flicking home from Alistair Johnston. It's a wonderful finish. Another great build-up by Celtic, and they are surely now all but through to the semi-finals, save for an almighty Hearts resurrection in the second half of this Scottish Cup quarter-final tie, which at half-time is Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 2.
The Scottish Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives. The Six Nations on the BBC.
Trying to spread the ball wide and it's taken on this time. Scotland are in, it's Jones who's over.
Scotland.
England.
France.
Wales.
Italy.
Ireland.
We are Six Nations.
And Russell is over. Surrounded by Scottish jerseys, and how we must enjoy this moment.
Scotland versus Ireland.
We're still in the championship. We're both playing for the Triple Crown. Ireland has still got the Grand Slam. That'll be huge motivation for us.
Tomorrow afternoon, watch on iPlayer, listen on your digital radio, or ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Scotland Extra.
A real killer blow there from Kyogo, right on the stroke of half-time. Hearts 0, Celtic 2. Richard Foster with me in the studio. Richard, we're just watching the pictures come in here to the studio. If anything typified that game, it was what we saw, the picture, both managers at the same time when that goal hit the back of the net.
Yeah, Ange Postecoglou's thrown his fist in the air in celebration, and Robbie Nielsen's turned away in disgust, because, you know, Celtic are very, very good, and they've got a lot of good players, but it was such a basic goal to give away that Robbie Nielsen, when he looks back at that, will be livid at his defenders less than a minute before the half-time. You know, they got a bit of a batter in the first half of the half, if you will, but they found their way back into the game, had a good chance, but then to give away that goal was criminal. You know, no one goes out with Moy. Kingsley then there's no one out to help him, so for me he's got to just stay because he's got Alistair Johnston outside him. He doesn't. He starts stepping towards Moy, who just rolls the ball in behind him to Johnston again. It's a fantastic ball across. Three Hearts central defenders are static. Kyogo's on the move. It's a Cruyff flick and it's into the net, and it's effectively, you know, you would think now the game's done. And
is that discipline thing, Richard, we're speaking about before the game, in terms of Kingsley and his role in that goal?
I feel sorry for him because he goes out himself. He recognises it's a 2v1 against. He goes out by himself. But as soon as he steps forward, he then allows Johnson to run in behind him. Now, if he stays where he is, Moy probably crosses the ball, but Moy's 10 yards further back. It's a more difficult cross, especially when you're playing three centre-halves. Ball in the air, it would have to be a ball in the air. You'd expect Hearts to clear it. But by stepping forward, he allows Johnson to go in behind him. He can then put in a low cross, which obviously favours someone like Kyogo, who's constantly on the move. The Hearts defenders, as I said, are static, and he scores the goal. I feel for Kingsley because he's out there on his own 2v1. Nobody goes to help him. Nobody reacts as quickly as he does. But at the same time, he could have, if he just holds his position, I think they deal with the Moy cross and they get to half-time.
The worst possible start. The second minute, Aaron Moy with the goal. We spoke about the great start that Hearts made at Celtic Park in the league game on Wednesday night. For long spells, we were very competitive, very much in that game before Celtic, cruised to victory towards the end. It's the worst possible thing for Robbie Nielsen, particularly with his squad. It's a patched up side he's got today.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that at the start of the game, you're anxious. You want to get yourself into the game. You want to start on the front foot. And I think two Hearts players go to press the ball, and neither of them get anywhere near it. It then gets flicked, and I think down the side, I can't remember the Hearts defender, but it seems like he misses his kick. Jota just rolls him, lets the ball through his body, rolls him. And then by that point, Moy's the wrong side of the midfield, and there's no chance of getting back. At that moment, you're just hoping that Jota doesn't find him, but he does. It's a great cut back, and he steps onto it and finishes it. But considering the start they had, I felt you've got to give Hearts credit. They rode their luck in the early part of the game, as you just see the goals here. I think it's Rolls that gets done down the line. But Moy's already behind. I think is it Kyogo. They can never really get back to him, and it's a good finish.
Much space.
But from that point, they were a bit rocky for the next 10-15 minutes, but then they slowly start to seep back into the game, and they got a foothold in the game. And like I say, they got a chance through Sibic from the free kick. Tremendous save from Joe Hart. So they were very much in the game. because they know they're going to be a threat from set pieces with the height they've got. They know they've got quality in the delivery. They just had, Alan spoke about it before the game, time and time. They need to stay in the game, and what they've done right before half time is probably put the game out of reach.
It's a fair point, Alan. Isn't it an absolute killer blow? You probably won't see the reaction of the managers as clear as we did with the pictures coming in here, but Robbie Nielsen's face said it all, and Ange Postecoglou's celebrations there. He knew the importance of getting that second goal before the break. This is an awful long way back for Hearts now.
Yeah, it's miles back. They don't have a recognised striker on the pitch. I think that, Kenny, listen, every manager in the Premiership's trying to come up with something to try and compete with Celtic, and no one's done it, with the exception of St Mirren so far. Steve Robinson at home, that's the only one that's managed to lay a glove on them, really. So it's difficult, because they're so every single player in the Celtic team is quality. I think Moy's been magnificent at the back. Carter-Vickers has been brilliant. Kyogo's movement, we've seen him in the middle. McGregor starting to run things. Jota on the right. All over the pitch, it's quality. That second goal is a real body blow. The first goal was bad enough. Two come out. It's Kingsley, and I think it's Kingsley anyway. He's certainly one, and I think it's Halkett's the other one. Then Rowells misses his kick completely. And then it's just a cut back to Moy with a wonderful finish. And the second one, there's no pressure on the ball. Celtic have got it. All the Hearts players turn their back and jog away, and Kingsley's caught 2-on-1 on the wider area. The ball comes in, and it's a great run and great finish. But can I see Hearts getting back into it? No, I can't. They've had one effort at goal, really, of any note, which is the Civic effort. Joe Hart makes a wonderful save. I think Robbie's got to try and do something in the second half to try and get back in it. I kept saying it in the first half. I would like to see them, on this occasion, go to a flat four, push another one into the middle of the park, because that is where they'll get an overrun. There was one lovely flick from Moy to Hatate. It took out 5 Hearts players. Hearts will get an overrun in the middle of the park. They need to get it sorted out. The communication, who goes to Johnson? Sometimes it's Kingsley and Halkett. Kingsley and Halliday. Other times Rowells comes 40-50 yards out his position to try and close people down. It's just not working, and he needs to get it sorted. But I've said it before, it's so difficult for managers in this game to try and come up with some plan that's going to make Celtic move or change or make a different formation. It's just not happening for Hearts, I'm afraid, and it's the same to be said for every club in the league.
The thing is, Alan, see when the three at the back, I think the three at the back against Celtic is fine when you sit deep, because then the Celtic midfielders, it would be Moy and Hatate, they play higher up. So when this lateral centre halves come out to mark, he's coming 10 yards and he can go and engage the ball. But because Hearts are wanting to press Celtic high up the pitch, they're pressing from the goal kick. So you're right, Rowells is then having to come 40-50 yards to a position he doesn't really want to be in, and if he doesn't get there quick enough, they just pop the ball round him. So in that instance, you've then got 3 at the back, and essentially they're only marking Kyogo. So you're 2 men down.
That's what I'm saying.
Other parts of the pitch.
That's why I think they'd be better going to a flat 4, Richard.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I think that you can push another one in. But Hearts have been built on success with this back 3, and it's been great for them. It really has. But I just think against Celtic, you're going to have to come up with something.
Alan, it's a false economy. It's a false economy in the way that he wants to play that back 3. When you've Rowell stepping out, 1 minute he's going to Moy, the other minute for the goal he was going to Jota. He was coming out of his position, and if you look at the second goal, his role is to defend the near post. So if you've got 3 players in there, as Richard says, and you're kind of sitting back, you're almost kind of setting up a block of defence, then the 3 works quite well. But when you're asking him to do different roles in this situation against Celtic will rip you apart.
Yeah.
You've got to absolutely be bang on, and the communication, the relationship between those players out on the pitch is not working. They may talk about it at half time, they may get the videos out, but it's what happens out on the pitch. And in the first half they were ripped apart because of that, especially down this way. Andy Halliday has got a real job on his hands. He's playing as a central of a 3 in midfield, or in that sort of on the left hand side of a 3 in midfield. He's got to run 40 yards to get out to Alistair Johnson to try to close him down. It's a real difficult shift for him because the wing-back is pinned back with Jota on that side there, and he's making no contact, and Alistair Johnson has a run on that right-hand side. The same on the left-hand side, by the way, when it's a wee bit slightly different because Greg Taylor wants to play a little bit more inside, and then you've got a wee bit less of a distance to travel. But that's the problem when you're up against Celtic. They pull you all over the place. So the tactics I think is wrong today, and I think you're right. Probably a back four would be a better way if you wanted to go and hit that press. Then you have players higher up the pitch.
They're going to have to do something, because as it sits, it's going to be 3 or 4. You know, they've got Hearts have got to get the next goal in this match, and whatever Robbie's going to do in there, he's going to have to make a change of some sort. Probably in formation, if it was me. But you know, I touch on it, Kenny. Managers in this league have not been able to come up with something so far.
It's a good point, Alan. Alan, it's a good point. And Pat, I was just looking back, actually. I look at the stats for today's game, right? So half-time, Celtic 64% possession, 9 shots to Hearts 3, 4 on target, Hearts to the 1. I was thinking, has it always been like this? And I was thinking back to actually Ange Postecoglou's first game. It was the evening game, the Saturday evening game through at Tynecastle. It was the late John Souter goal. And Hearts got the victory that night. And I look back in that game, 74% possession in that game, 19 shots, 7 on target. Since he came through the door, from his very first game, this guy was absolutely clear. And I'm sure he felt that night, he'd been told, Tynecastle, difficult place to go, intimidating. You could be in the back foot for spells. But he plays it his way. He doesn't seem too concerned about the opposition. And right throughout this, and as Alan said, Pat, trying to come up with a solution to stop this. I used the word juggernaut at the top of the programme, this Celtic juggernaut. It's so difficult. And today, they've been so clinical. 2 great finishes.
There is no doubt it's difficult, and we're sitting up in the stand, and that we don't have to make the big decisions, but we have to give our opinion on what he might do and what he should do and at half-time. But he has to come up with something, and it is difficult because Celtic have got so many good players out on the pitch. They're all looking for the ball. They're all comfortable on the ball. They'll all move. They'll rotate. Midfield, when you've got Hatate, McGregor and Aaron Moy, the 3 of them, every single one of them can play in any of those positions in the cross midfield, and they rotate around, they'll get on the ball, and then when Carter-Vickers steps out with the ball, he's got easy passes, and they pin you all over the pitch, and if you go man for man, they'll just run you ragged also. You know, so what do you do? And you know, we've been condemning teams probably even when they come to Celtic Park. This is home to Hearts. We've talked about Aberdeen getting annihilated up in Pittodrie when they went and sat back, trying to, you know. So what is the plan? We're just looking at today, and we're saying the back 3 or the back 5, let's put it, isn't quite working. Change it a little bit, put 4 there. You've got to come up with something. You can't. You're at home. It's a cup, and Celtic have absolutely dominated the first half from a possession point of view. So you've got to stop them somehow dominating the ball. That's the first thing.
And they're going to make a change, Brian McLaughlin, Celtic?
Yeah, Yuki Kobayashi is coming on. He'll be replacing Carl Starfelt, who I'm told picked up a knock in the first minute of the game. So Starfelt's off and Kobayashi coming on, straight replacement.
Yeah, it's been some big moments in the first half there. Aaron Moy with a goal in the second minute, a great cut back from Jota, landed right in his feet, he blasted the ball home. Joe Hart, an absolutely terrific save to deny Toby Sibic, and then Kyogo. Rich has been talking about the defending there, but that near post run from Kyogo again, so clinical. What a season he is having. It's a long way back for the home side. Let's get back then to Tynecastle. It's Hearts 0, Celtic 2. A place in the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup up for grabs. Let's get to our commentary team of Alan Preston, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Yeah, another couple of quarter-final ties to come over the next couple of days. Sports Sound Rangers, Wraith Rovers tomorrow, 1 o'clock kick-off. Then on the BBC Scotland channel, Sports Team will have Falkirk against Ayr United on Monday evening. And of course the draw meant there was always guaranteed to be at least one lower league club in the semi-final draw. Cally Thistle beating Kilmarnock last night. If Falkirk make it, the first time aside from the third tier has got into the semi since Gretna did it in 2006, and of course they went into the final as well, where Hearts would beat them on penalties. Hearts could be doing with a hero this afternoon. Celtic making the change, Kobayashi on for Starfelt. It's the same Hearts 11 who kick off the second half, going left to right, all in maroon with white flashes, shooting towards the Gorgie Road. Celtic in the green and white hoops as Kobayashi gets his first touch to head clear, and then gets a second attempt to head it out to Taylor, but the flag's going up on this near side. So it's Clark in goal for Hearts, Hill, Sibic and Rowles, Smith and Kingsley, Grant Cameron, Zoglin, Halliday with Mackay and Ginelli, For Celtic, Hart in goal, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Kobayashi and Taylor, Moy, McGregor, Hatate, Jota and Haksabanovic either side of Kyogo, who scored his 26th goal of the season. He was always vocal, I think, about getting to 30. That's not far off now as Hearts come forward with Ginnelly, left-hand side of the Celtic box. He's up against Carter-Vickers, who's sticking with him. Ginnelly gets it back, play on. Ginnelly shoots, wide a goal. There's been a yellow card. Carmen and Carter-Vickers there for the late challenge on the left-hand side of the box. It was Kingsley, I think, who was upended, but he allowed it quite rightly, Kevin Clancy, for Hearts to play on, but Ginnelly well off target.
Yeah, Carter-Vickers, the ball was there to go in, I think, but he mistimed it and he caught Kingsley. And there was a decent chance. The referee, I think, did right to carry on, Alan.
Yeah, I would agree. It allows Ginnelly to have the short pass. It was a short pass from Ginnelly initially to Kingsley, and Carter-Vickers goes for it but gets it wrong. Brings down Kingsley, and then the referee right away play on. He cuts inside Ginnelly, tries to bend it in that far corner, just doesn't execute it right.
But it was the first time Kingsley opened up on that left-hand side and played a ball down the side of the centre half for Ginnelly running. And I would assume that's the message that maybe Robbie was getting him, because every single time, I think in the first half, he's almost turned back on himself, Kingsley, when he's had the ball, because he doesn't see that you can play that ball. And again, it depends on the run from Ginnelly, which was a decent run, good pass, and he got in behind.
2 minutes then into the second half. Hearts starting it on the front foot, to be fair to them. Celtic have it, long ball, Kyogo back to Haksabanovic, one back though by Hill, who plays it off Hatate. And out for a Hearts throw-in on this near side, midway inside the Celtic half. Celtic looking to win their 41st Scottish Cup. They've won 6 of the last 12. It's just been their recent dominance of the competition. As George Grant is brought down, that's going to be another Hearts free kick on the near side. Much better start to the second half than we saw Hearts in the first, albeit Celtic in a pretty decent comfort zone right now. That second goal just before half-time has changed the complexion of this tie.
We simply need to get the next goal here.
Grant bends the free kick into the box, just away from Kierman Soglu. Should he have got a bit more on that? It's gone out of play for a Celtic throw-in on the far side. He certainly rose higher than anyone else. He didn't make any kind of real contact with the ball, and Celtic have a throw-in on the far side.
It's a lovely ball into a good area as well.
Celtic have it with Hatate in the midfield, sweeps it forward first time, but Smith's there to play back to his keeper, Haksabanovic closing him down. Clark plays it first time out to Smith on the near side, and it's Haksabanovic trying to put pressure on Smith, who rolls it in field to James Hill, who goes long into the Celtic half, but it comes right through past Kobayashi and through to his goalkeeper. We played 48 and a half, Hearts 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, there's a number of times now, Hill, even in the first half, he's in decent positions to pick a pass, and he gets it all wrong. He gives a possession back to Sully. He can't afford that.
You're right, Liam. It's been a better start to the second half for Hearts than certainly the first half.
It's easier when you're in many ways to make that happen though when you're 2-0 down. Smith comes forward, driving down the right-hand side, rolling it forward to Ginnelly, up against Carter-Vickers inside the box, forced out of it to the near side. Smith keeps it in play, just now it's Grant back to Smith, looking to cross, blocked by Taylor, and out for the Hearts throw-in, level with the Celtic 18 on this near side. Can they make this a proper cup tie again?
Yeah, it was better play there for Michael Smith again, just again linking in with his midfielder, opening up and playing that ball down the channel, and Ginnelly just making the run again down the side of the centre halves, which is the out ball for them.
Just Civic's going up for this long throw in from Hill.
This kind of situation might be Hearts' best opportunity today as the throw-in comes in. It's cleared by Taylor, and as far as Grant, good play away from Hatate, and then he, for some reason, decided to shoot for a goal there, and he goes well wide of the right-hand post. He's 3 in maroon waiting in the middle for something a little bit better than what he conjured up 5 minutes into the second half. It stays 2-0 Celtic.
Yeah, he does great, then he completely loses his composure.
Lost the shape as Moy passes it out to Johnston on the right-hand side, midway inside his own half. Johnston's ball forward bounces back off Kai Rowles, who once again is well up the pitch here. Here's Aaron Moy collecting over on the far side touchline in front of his dugout. Infield to McGregor. Scampers across halfway. Flicks it out to the right-hand side for Jota. He's now level with the Hearts penalty spot, making for the byline. Hangs the ball up towards Haksabanovic, who nods it back the way. Hatate leaves it for Taylor. George Grant as well to win it back and then clear his lines. Ginelli will give chase against Kobayashi, who's just on. It's going to get goal side of him. It's Ginelli, and again, as he shoots, he puts it well wide. The Hearts fans claiming he was fouled in the box by Kobayashi. They want a penalty here, and clearly they're going to have a look back at it, and Alan Preston's trying his best to have a look at the monitor that he's got to his right. It's going to be a difficult one for him to see. He's shaking his head, waving his hands. No penalty, and the referee made the correct call.
That's his foot.
Yeah, didn't see much in it.
No.
Wells with the challenge on his international colleague Moy. Moy goes down, he's going out for a throw into Celtic, which Johnston takes quickly. 51 on the clock, 2-0 Celtic. Well on their way to the semi-finals again. There's Jota over there, and he turns it back to Carter-Vickers. Stroke it forward along the grass to Moy. Now it's with Hatate. He's got space to work in as he drives across halfway. Switches the play to the left for Taylor. Out to Haksabanovic. He'll now level the penalty spot, attack the Hearts box, rolls it in, shuffles it to Taylor. Cross balls cleared by Rowles. It's good play by Celtic, that down this left-hand side. Breaks the way of Aaron Moy. Away goes Johnston to his right. Johnston level with the penalty spot. He's just inside the Hearts box. Digs out the cross. Over ahead of Smith. Haksabanovic will try and keep it alive wide on the left. Short ball to the left angle for Taylor. Infield to Hatate. This first time pass is poor. The outside of the boot, and it goes behind for the goal kick to Hearts. 52 played. 2-0 to Celtic.
Seems to be a bit more compact Hearts pack in the second half, slightly. But you still see the middle of the park. Look at the acres of space the likes of Moy and McGregor are getting.
A long ball down this left-hand side over there for Barry Mackay. Keeps it in play. He's in behind a couple of Celtic players there. But won back by the ever-impressive Carter-Vickers, who finds Jota. Jota driving forward. He's the meat and the sandwich, but he's freed himself and he slips it forward looking for Haksabanovic. Didn't quite read it in time. Hill will try and see it behind. They're claiming corner. It's a goal kick only though to Hearts, and it stays 2-0 to Celtic. And I know that the likes of Kyogo and Jota and Abada's on the bench today, Callum McGregor even at times as well with Aaron Moy, they get the headlines a lot of the time, but we've seen Joe Hart making that save earlier on in the game when it was 1-0, and Cameron Carter-Vickers just strolls through these matches.
Absolutely, strength, composure on the ball, and ability to pass it, to get himself out of positions.
Seen some impressive Celtic centre-backs in recent years. Christopher Ayer, Virgil van Dijk. Van Dijk used to the freedom of Scottish football pitches to stroll deep into opposition territory. Ayer used to do that himself. Carter-Vickers perhaps doesn't make those kind of runs, but he's always so dependable. He must be an 8 or a 9 every week. He slips it to the right-hand side here for Johnston. Low to Jota, forced back into his own half though. And then to Carter-Vickers. Hard start at the second half. Well, Celtic getting into their stride again here though. Moy out to Johnston, long ball with the right foot looking for Kyogo. He's in behind here. Little bit of space for Kyogo, that's dangerous. Now shot on the turn, and his shot saved by Clark, still alive. Kyogo's header wide of the left-hand post for a goal kick, and it stays Hearts 0, Celtic 2. Jota flickering into life there.
It's incredible stuff, but you watch it, if you rerun that back, you'll see again, Rowles has to jump out with Moy into the midfield, and he's completely at a loss. And then it's a really good save again from Xander Clark.
Yeah, good save, but every time Celtic get into that last third, you expect something to happen. That's the difference also, because they've got those real quality players in that front area.
Clark takes the short goal kick to his left to the 6-yard box for Rowles, then back along his 6-yard line for Sibic, out to this near side for Hill, goes long and puts it straight into the Wheatfield stand, throw in Celtic.
Yeah, that's just Hill knocking it out of play again. You know, he doesn't look that comfortable on the ball. He is.
If you're going to play that way, you're going to play it short from the back, as Celtic like to do. If you're going to do it against them, you need to have better quality than that.
Absolutely.
You do, but they need to play out for the back then. They've got two little guys up front in Ginelli and Mackay. They're not going to exactly kick it.
Long ball for Ginnelly to give chase. Joe Hart reads it, comes out to this near side and dumps it into the stand. Will be a throw into Hearts round about the halfway line. Remember to come at 3 o'clock. It's about an hour and a half's time. Championship action, Morton against Partick Thistle. It's the only championship game that survived a pitch inspection this morning. So it goes ahead at 3 o'clock at Capello. And we'll have commentary of that as well as the scores as they go in Leagues 1 and 2. As Ginnelly collects right-hand side of the Celtic box. Challenged by Kobayashi, brings him down. Kevin Clancy thought about giving the free kick, then changes his mind. He had the whistle in his mouth, he was just about ready to go, and Celtic take the ball away, and it's moved out to Johnson, who's gone long looking for Jota down that right-hand side. Clark comes out of his box. Calmly rolls it short to Kingsley.
Yeah, I thought that was a free kick. Kobayashi didn't have to go and challenge for the ball. He tried to nick it, and almost was all over the Hearts player. So it really should have been, I think, a free kick to Hearts.
There's been no need for VAR this afternoon. Remember the VAR-laden meeting between the two back in October as Grant, lovely pirouette. Now Callum McGregor in a bit of George Grant's jersey there. The referee didn't spot it. The Hearts fans surrounding us in the Wheatfield certainly did. As Carter-Vickers plays it to the right of the centre circle for Johnston's side foot to Kyogo. Kyogo, poor touch, Rowles can clear. Ginnelly tries to chest it away from Kobayashi, which he does, but it's only to the benefit of Carter-Vickers. And now it's with Hatate as we hit 57 minutes. Celtic leading 2-0. Taylor with the ball into the box. Kyogo on the turn. Tries to work it back onto his left side, and Hearts get it clear, but the flag's gone up anyway. And it'll be a free kick to the home team, who are trailing 2-0 in this Scottish Cup quarter. It looks as though there's going to be a change for Celtic in just a moment. I'm not sure if we can cross to Brian. Yes, we can, Alan. We'll be back to you in a second.
Yeah, it's going to be Leo Abada who's coming on. I don't think they've actually decided quite yet as to who's going to be coming on, but Abada is definitely going to be the player coming on. The board, David Munro has the board now, so hopefully we'll see that very shortly indeed, Liam.
I think there has to come a spell in the game where Robbie has to take a chance. And
it's going to be Haksabanovic, by the way. Sorry, Biscuit.
Yeah, I've got to try and get a goal here, and if we can get a goal with 10 minutes to go, if possible. So I think he's going to have to look to his bench, or even try and commit men forward if he can. You know, it's not easy.
No.
From it.
Here comes the change then. Sead Haksabanovic, his 11th start all told for Celtic this afternoon. And he'll be replaced by Lila Abada, which will mean Jota will come out to this left-hand side. And Abada, who Paki Bonner said earlier is probably more effective coming off the bench.
Yeah, and he is effective.
Because he does spark Celtic, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's quick, he's sharp, he gets himself into really great positions. Haksabanovic would be a little bit disappointed probably today. I was surprised maybe they didn't change them over. That happens with wingers, they change positions. One goes the opposite side, just to give him a chance on his right side over on that. But he stayed on the left, and he always wants to cut in.
But hey, you're bringing on a guy who scored 12 times this season in Lila Abada.
His numbers are incredible, even his assists there.
Yeah. Zander Clark to the edge of his box, clears, up into the air it goes, drops down inside the Celtic half. It's a great touch by George Grant. He started the second half really well, actually, Grant. That goes out of play for a Hearts throw-in off Taylor. We tick into the 60th minute of the Scottish Cup quarter-final. Celtic leading 2-0.
Yeah, Hearts, they do desperately need to get a goal. They've got a great chances first. They haven't really created anything, even though it's been a decent second half from them.
Smith takes the throw into Ginnelly inside the box. He's looking across. He wins the corner off Kobayashi. Josh Ginnelly, who scored against Celtic in that 2020 final, which they ultimately would lose on penalties. 3-3 it was after extra time.
As Grant need to send someone back, because Abada will outrun Smith.
In comes the corner from Grant towards the back stick. Comes off the head of Kobayashi, gave it away. Kingsley gets a good header onto it. Drops down on the 6-yard line and cleared by Kyogo. Here's Grant firing it in and bobbles around inside the 6-yard area. And eventually it's cleared by Hatate. Little bit of hear him, scare him there as we approach 60 minutes. Hearts 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, a bit of pressure. Sorry, Pat.
No, I was just going to say that again, Celtic struggling to deal with the corner, with the set piece. Played into an area, nobody really going and attacking it, and then it was all over the place.
Are we getting a check of some sort?
There's no official confirmation as yet. Hearts do have a throw-in, which will be taken now. Whatever they were checking is over. As Kingsley bowls it back into his own half here for Rowles, pushes it into the midfield for Kiermont Zoglu, does get there ahead of Moy, only just though. Now it's with Grant getting the break of the ball as he looks to switch it out to Stephen Kingsley, gets his head onto it. Now it's Halliday, helps it on its way forward, driving up against Carter-Vickers, who prevents the corner. It's a brilliant bit of defending by Carter-Vickers again, and his bonus balls as he's found Abada, who's brought crashing to the ground over on the far side by Kiermont Zoglu, who becomes the second player booked in this normally powder keg fixture, which generally is played right on the line. And Kiermont Zoglu picks up the yellow card and he joins Carter-Vickers in the book.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
No, it was high and it was late, and it was. He obviously had to make the tackle, Alan. Otherwise, he was done. He was the kind of holding midfield player. But yeah.
Carter-Vickers playing it short to Johnston. 61.5 minutes just about played. It's always going to be a difficult weakness for Hearts. Double-header against Celtic as Halliday gets it from Mackay. Halliday down the left, little bit of space, an early cross comes off Carter-Vickers and Hart holds on just under his crossbar. That was dropping towards the goal, and Hart has both gloves on it and stays 2-0 to Celtic. Decent from Hearts just in the last few minutes.
Yeah, a little bit more aggression from them, I think, in the tackle also. I think Celtic just got to settle down and get their passing back to what they were doing in the first half, because Hearts kind of almost upset them a little bit.
And Smith has had it robbed off him by Jota, who's on the turn, and now Jota will burn away from him. He's inside the box, and Jota, and he hits the side net. He's free waiting, in fact, four if you include Hatate just outside the box. And it stays on 62, Hearts 0, Celtic 2.
Decision making there for Michael Smith. I thought the ball was running out. He just usher it out, use his body to make sure that Jota can't get round him. He elects to play it, and Jota takes it off him, then beats him lovely, and he's away. But then Jota pulls his shot into the side netting. But you know, you can't fault the Hearts players' commitment and energy today. You really can't. They've tried their best. They're just getting beaten by a better side. That's the bottom line. Celtic have got better players.
Well, everyone's saying that every single week. Celtic rampaging through the victories. If they win this one, they're well placed to do so. It'll be 13 on the spin, and that would be halfway towards the club record, which is 26. Which was set in 66-67. As Taylor is brought down on this near side, that's going to be a free kick to, I think it's gone Hearts' way. Is it gone? Greg Taylor's certainly been left on the deck. I think it's actually gone Hearts' way though. It's going to just be a throw-in. Collision rather than a foul. James Hill will take the throw and run about the halfway line, bowling it down this right hand side. Giannelli, little dink there on Kobayashi. He's managed to pull it back as well, and Carter-Vickers clears. Kobayashi struggled since coming on a little bit, looks a little bit rusty, can understand that. Hill plays it off Hatate. The Hearts throw in midway inside the Celtic half on this Wheatfield stand side. The Hearts right as they attack the goal to the right. 63.5 on the clock, 2-0 Celtic. Hill throws it back into his own half for Civic, turns it to Hill, chip ball forwards, good ball. George Grant down the right hand side. Kobayashi favourite to get there, and he just sees it behind for the goal kick.
It was a better ball though, it was a better way to pass. It was just unfortunate that it just took that big bounce and it ran out of play, but certainly better play from him.
Change for Hearts, Brian.
Yeah, Keogh was coming off. The minute Keogh was booked after that challenge on Abada, Robin Nielsen turned to the bench, told Cammy Devlin to get ready, and he's going to be coming on for the last 26 minutes. Keogh off, it's Cammy Devlin on.
Certainly, and some bite to that Hearts midfield for sure.
Sensible as well with the booking just a couple of minutes ago.
Here is Carter-Vickers picking up from Joe Hart, right hand side of the 6-yard box, chips it forward, it comes off the head of Rowles. His header is picked up by Johnston. It's with Carter-Vickers. His pass comes off Kingsley. Carter-Vickers should still be able to deal with this though, down by the corner flag. He's able to smash it clear. Devlin gets his first touch, comes off his knee. Now it's with Rowles. Can he keep it in play? Well, he's done well. It's going to be a Hearts throw-in. Well to A, keep it in play, and B, knock it off the Celtic player now for a throw-in to his own team.
It's been a better performance from Hearts in the second half. It's more of an even game at the moment.
Yeah, more because they're more aggressive, Alan.
Yeah, but also, as Liam touched on, it's easy to do that when you're 2-0 down.
Yeah. Giannelli has it level with the 6-yard line over on the left-hand side of the Celtic box. Can they find a goal that would make this a contest again? Giannelli runs into Carter-Vickers, who turns it out for a Hearts throw-in on the far side. when you start a game as slowly as Hearts did and as quickly as the visitors do, it doesn't ever give you an opportunity to engage the big home support. And that's been a problem for Hearts, and Barry Mackay's given it away to Aaron Moy. Celtic looking to hit in the counter. It's a rare poor pass by Moy, though, goes straight to Hill. Infield to Devlin, and he goes back to Smith. 65.5 on the clock, 2-0 to Celtic. It's Sibic short there to the left for Rowles, and out to the touchline for Kingsley, and back in field to Kai Rowles, who goes long with the left foot, looking for Grant. Is he going to get there? It's down towards the corner flag. It's just evaded him, and it goes behind for the goal kick to Celtic.
I don't get why he kicks out for a goal kick. You know, just let it go out for a throw-in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hem them in.
Absolutely.
Joe Hart inside the 6-yard box, clears it with the right foot, and Rowles gets there ahead of Abada. Hearts winning a lot more second balls in the second half. That's been the big difference.
That's been the big difference. It's not flowing for Celtic. They're giving the ball, they're getting caught on it a little bit, and they're not being able to control the game, and that's what you've got to do from a Hearts perspective, and then you have a chance maybe of getting
that's a terrible ball by Kai Rowles. Gives it straight to Callum McGregor in the centre circle. Here's Jota out to Taylor on the near side. It's another one of those unforced errors that I was talking about in the first half. It's Kobayashi finds Moy. It's a powerful pass, so he hits it back first time to Carter-Vickers, who strokes it forward to Alistair Johnston. On to Abada on the right-hand side, just inside Hearts territory. Rolls it infield to Hatate, into the centre circle for McGregor, to the left for Taylor. Approaching the final quarter of this quarter-final. Taylor out to Jota. Celtic out of a 2-goal cushion and heading for the semi-finals. The draw for which, incidentally, will be on Monday night on Sportscene after that Falkirk Ayr United game. As McGregor finds Jota. Some opportunity for a couple of lower league clubs going into that. The draw works out for them and they avoid Celtic, and if Rangers go through, as Moy comes forward, gets it from the throw-in, pulls it back towards the penalty spot. Kingsley with the clearance, as Grant fails to keep it in play on this near side. Wraith Rovers, of course, returning to the scene of their League Cup triumph in 1994 when they go to Ibrox tomorrow to take on Rangers. Celtic heading through as things stand, unless Hearts can turn this around somehow. Odds against, you would have to say, and it is Falkirk Ayr on Monday evening. Greg Taylor with the throw-in level with the edge of the D to Jota. Back to Carter-Vickers inside the centre circle. He shifts it to the right-hand side for Johnston. Square ball for Moy. Out to Abada on the right-hand side, 22 to play. Abada gets it back from Johnston, moving to the edge of the box. It's Rio Hatate on the turn, and Smith gets there ahead of Abada to clear. Up towards halfway, the header forward by Carter-Vickers, under pressure, takes it out to Taylor. Now out to Jota on the left-hand side. Level with 18 now, attacking the left angle of the box, looks to get the low ball in. It's cleared by Sibic on the 6, and out for a throw into Celtic on the near side. Better from the visitors just in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, they're better, a little bit more control of the ball, and they're getting into the forward positions again, as we would expect. And then when I was better defending from Sibic at a near post, he just kills the space and clears his area, and they know where that ball's going to come into.
Well won back by Devlin. He pokes it out to George Grant on this right-hand side. Grant goes long, looking for Giannelli. He's in behind Kobayashi. Right-hand side of the box, he's on his own though. Giannelli's pulled it back first time, but that was all in hope rather than expectation. He's pulled it back, hoping a maroon shirt was going to be there. If he'd looked up, he would have seen there was nobody, and he's given it straight back to Celtic. Here come the visitors. Taylor for Kyogo. He rolls it to the right-hand side for Abada. The underlap comes from Johnston. It's Abada's pass forwards, cut out. Halliday clears it. Just that bit in the final third from Josh Giannelli. He must know he's the only, given he's the lone striker, he must know nobody's keeping up with him.
But he's done better in the second half. He's run the channel better. He's got down the side of the centre half. He's the out ball, certainly staying up the pitch. He's not getting too involved in closing people down. He might just fill a space. But certainly making those runs is so important for the back players that they have that target.
Yuki Kobayashi moving forward, out to the left for Jota. Jota up against Smith. It's a little bite on him. Jota still in possession, rolls it infield to Moy, who finds Johnston. Final 20 here at Tynecastle Park. 2-0 Celtic. Johnston getting it back from Abada at the byline, pulls it back, blocked by Rowles, and behind for a Celtic corner.
More changes on the Hearts bench though, by the looks of it.
Yeah, we'll get to Brian, get some news of that, just when Brian's able to firm up who will be coming on. There will be a corner for Aaron Moy, meantime, for Celtic here. Outswinger with the right foot coming up from the main stand side, right in front of that packed Roseburn end, full of green and white. In from Moy, header away by Kingsley. It's off the head of Mackay, breaks to Kyogo, looking to try and find Moy on the far side, cut out by Grant. Barry Mackay has been on the periphery of the game, really. Back to Grant, long ball forward, comes off the head of Taylor, forward to Carter-Vickers on the halfway line. Now he finds McGregor.
I think you're right. Mackay could be one of them coming off. I think it's Atkinson, it's Forrest and Cochrane coming on. I would take Mackay off.
It's a triple change then for Hearts. It is Celtic in possession here with Johnston infield to Abada. Moy, chip ball, too much on it, comes right through to Clark. 71 minutes played, 2-0 Celtic, where there's time, there's hope for Hearts, but it's slipping away from them. Their Scottish Cup dreams. This is a club that's won the Scottish Cup in each of the last 3 decades. 1998, 2006, 2012. Still time for them to do it in this decade, but they wanted it to be this season. So close in 2020 to doing just that. For Stephen Kingsley and Craig Whiten's penalty failures in the shootout against today's opposition. Big changes at Celtic since then, of course, is the low ball from Kingsley goes out for a goal kick. It's a poor one out that left-hand side. Let's get confirmation of the 3 changes from Brian.
Yeah, the players coming on are Forrest, Cochrane and Atkinson. Definitely coming off is Andy Halliday. I wouldn't be too surprised as well if Stephen Kingsley is one. Michael Smith is definitely coming off as well. And we're just waiting now on the 3rd change. But Atkinson, Forrest and Cochrane on. It's going to be Andy Halliday off, it's going to be Michael Smith off, and it is going to be Stephen Kingsley, that 3rd change. There's also going to be a couple of changes for Celtic. Matt O'Reilly's ready and stripped ready to come on, as is the Kyogo is also going to be coming on, but still waiting to see who they will be replacing them.
It's a bit later with his triple change today, Ange Postecoglou, normally around about the hour mark into 70 minutes. We're beyond that now, 73 on the clock. Carter-Vickers collects the edge of his box. 3 changes for Hearts, Alan.
Yeah, I thought it might have been Mackay going off a straight swap with Forrest in there, but maybe Robbie's thinking, you know, we'll get Mackay wide left if we can, try and get him at Johnson, Forrest on wide right, try and get at Taylor if possible, try and create something.
Long ball's gone right over the head of Cochrane, who's just on, and now a bad double drive at Kai Rawls inside the box. Slow ball's deflected, might still break Kyogo's way. Hatate shoots, blocked, comes to the edge of the area. Moy, that's deflected, and Clark holds on. A little bit more power on that, Zander Clark might have been in trouble. 73.5 on the clock. Hearts 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, I think Hearts have gone to their back 4 now. Alan, I think with it. Just trying to see. I think they put Sippick into the middle of the pitch.
Well, Alan was calling for that in the first half, wasn't he? Here's another Alan Forrest. His brother James has won this competition 5 times in Celtic colours. Forrest loses it though. Now it's Jota collecting for Celtic on the near side. Back it comes to Taylor. Looks up the pitch. His ball's charged down by Sibbick. It's to Kobayashi. He's able to get it away. 74 played, 2-0 to Celtic. They've had this lead since the break. And a crucial goal by Kyogo Furuhashi just before half-time has made all the difference for Celtic, who are continuing this fantastic run. You knew it wouldn't be 0-0 today. Celtic haven't drawn a game 0-0 since 52 matches ago. Rangers, it's 101 games since they drew 0-0 in a game. So guaranteed goals and matches involving the big 2 right now. As Grant rolls it out to Mackay wide in the left. Can Hearts find a way back into this? Mackay gives it away pretty meekly in the end on the far side. And it's now with Alistair Johnston, who pushes it forward there to Hatate. The 2 Celtic subs waiting to come on, O'Reilly and It is Carter-Vickers back out to Johnston. Chip forward to Moy. Now with Hatate. Back to Aaron Moy under pressure from Sibbick. 2 Hearts players around them. Devlin's there too, and Moy's been left writhing in pain on the deck. Celtic get it away. There's Alan Forrest doing well, though he's found Ginnelly. Ginnelly's getting the overlap from Atkinson. Eventually Ginnelly elects to shoot, blocked by Kobayashi. Now Atkinson's way out of position, and Jota's away in the counter on the near side. Ginnelli's done well to go back into the position vacated by Atkinson to close off at least one avenue for Jota, and Hearts end up winning it back. Rowell's back to his keeper, and Clark clears. It's another example of the decision making in the final third, and it has to be spot on against Celtic.
Yeah, you know, Ginnelli's got Atkinson tearing down. He must be screaming at him to hold the ball and then release him, and he hits the shot, Ginnelli. So not only he's out the game, Atkinson's out the game as well.
There's Hatate for Jota at the edge of the Hearts box. Jota looking for space to shoot here, dancing around inside the area, uses the pass option instead to Abada. There's shout for handball in the Celtic end there as it bounced off Hill. Corner has been awarded, and it stays at 2-0 to Celtic on 76. Obviously have a little look back at that James Hill situation as Celtic make their double change that Brian was telling us about. Kyogo for Ahas, he'll be replaced. I think Aaron Moy's the other one to come off, so it will be Kyogo and Moy off. Q will come on, as will Matt O'Reilly, and it's O'Reilly who's paid the biggest price for the form of Aaron Moy this season. So O'Reilly, when he arrived last January, he was magnificent. The second half of last season, the first half of this as well, he was probably ahead of Moy in the pecking order, but as soon as Moy was fully fit, he's been the man that Ange Postecoglou's played in the midfield alongside McGregor and Hatate.
Yeah, I thought Aaron Moy had a really good game today. His quality on the ball is very, very good indeed. But O'Reilly is a good player, and he just have to bide his time.
In comes the corner from Jota. It's flicked away by Civic, and Hatate will push it back into the centre circle for Taylor. It was Moy who got Celtic's first goal inside 2 minutes today. Kyogo got the second just before half-time, as Callum McGregor looks up and whips the ball, switching it out to Abad on the far side. Garan Kual's going to be on for Hearts shortly as well. Will be their final change as that goes out for a throw into Celtic over on that far side. 77.5 on the clock. Hearts 0, Celtic 2. And it's picked up by O'Reilly's just on. Short ball to McGregor, who goes down, fouled by Devlin. And it will be a free kick over on the far side. It was Abada who was brought down by Devlin, and Celtic have a free kick level with the edge of the D of the Hearts box as they look to finish this cup tie once and for all, with just over 12 minutes of the match, at least the 90 minutes to play. And it looks as though this has got away from Hearts, Alan.
Yeah, you know, let me keep saying it, Celtic are a quality side. They're just seeing out the game now. Hearts have tried to make a game of it in the second half without really great quality. They're missing so many players as well, not natural strikers.
Jota with the free kick, punched away by Clark with both fists. Hatate shoots on the volley. That's going in, but for the block by James Hill. That looked like it was on target. Carter-Vickers is brought down by Atkinson, who'll be yellow carded, and Celtic will have a free kick at the left angle of the Hearts box. The pressure continues.
Yeah, it was a really good save on the line, wasn't it? Stuck out his leg, Helen, and got a really good volley from Hatate. But they now have to defend this free kick just on the corner of the 18-yard box on his left-hand side.
Scored a fantastic goal here last season, Rea Hatate, not long after he arrived at the club. Up the other end, as he comes over to the dugout to get a bit of water. Carter-Vickers is back on his feet. He's going to be okay. I imagine it would take quite a lot to force Carter-Vickers. It's going to be O'Reilly though, dinks it in. Carter-Vickers scores, and that will seal their place in the semis. The man who won the free kick in the first place, unchallenged, nods it past Xander Clark. Hearts are heading out, and Celtic, the favourites, are heading through to the last four. It's Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 3. Just who can stop them?
Yeah, it was just a run-of-the-mill cross into the box, almost to the back post on that 6-yard line, and there was Carter-Vickers all alone to head it back and down past the goalkeeper. Really delighted for him, because he's had a really good, strong match also, but from a Hearts perspective, they should have been defending that better. He's the target, he's the key man. Somebody's got to take responsibility for him, pick him up.
Yeah, for some reason, Civic's wrong side. When the ball comes in, he's totally the wrong side of Carter-Vickers. It's a wonderful ball in and a really good header into the back of the net. But again, poor defending. That's their own mistakes today.
They're checking for a possible offside here against Carter.
They're all quality players. This man coming on the pitch, I thought on Wednesday night he also had a real influence on the team when he controlled the game in that period late on in the game when he came on.
So 3-0 Celtic, 8 minutes to play. Hearts will now go through the motions as they exit the tournament. It's been produced a memorable 3-0 win of their own at Easter Road in the 4th round. It's Cool crosses with the right foot from the right corner flag. It's headed behind for the corner. Swathes of Hearts fans exited as soon as Carter-Vickers' header found the net. You can understand that. They don't want their noses rubbed in it. Their Scottish Cup adventure's over for the season, and they will now have to focus all their attention on finishing 3rd in the Premiership as the corner comes off the head of Hill. It's over the bar, and it's 3-0 to Celtic. The prize is still a big one for finishing 3rd, of course. If Celtic or Rangers meet in the final, or if one of them wins it, they'll of course both have made the Champions League. The champions looking like Celtic go straight into the groups of the Champions League. 3rd qualifying round for the runners-up, and it would be the Europa League playoff for the team that finishes 3rd, assuming one of those sides wins the Scottish Cup, or if they play each other, Alan. So still a massive prize on offer for Hearts.
That, Liam, is that you're into the conference groups?
That's right, yes, exactly, guaranteed. As McGregor picks up at the byline, pulls it back, and it bounces off and behind for the
it's
goal
just
kick.
When you see it though, it's Celtic is just like a juggernaut. They just keep going. They really do. And
Alan, I know that this has been something that's been discussed this week. We discussed it in the podcast the other day. How big's the gap right now? It's literally 35 points between Celtic and Hearts in the league right now. Hearts are the next best.
It's massive.
It's as big as it's ever been.
Yeah, but you look at the finances are as big as they've ever been as well, Liam.
I know that, but I remember
ridiculous.
Martin O'Neill and Brendan Rodgers having problems coming to Tynecastle. As Hearts pick up down the left with Mackay up against Abada. And it goes out to play for a throw. I'm saying the gap's big, but is this as good? How good is this Celtic team when you compare it to those two under O'Neill and Rodgers?
Yeah, I think this Celtic team is one of the best Celtic teams that there's been. You're comparing that against the Lisbon Lions and all these, but they pass the ball, they move the ball, they're all comfortable on the ball, and their goals coming from all over the pitch, Alan. They're really.
But I think on your day, we've seen it earlier, the 4-3 game earlier in the season, on your day you can give them a game, but it's very few and far between.
In comes a Hearts corner, and there's a header which goes well wide from, I think it might have been Cochrane who got the final touch on that. It goes well past for the goal kick. 84.5 on the clock. Hearts 0, Celtic 3.
And it just moves on to the next manager to try and come up with something to say, right, it's my turn now to try and see how we can stop them.
Seems quite happy that the Celtic manager in his current position. The next manager to have a go at Celtic will be the interim that's Hearts who are playing Aberdeen next week. Celtic have got Hibs next week at Celtic Park. So yeah, it'll be Lee Johnson, and they had a chastening experience at Celtic Park, didn't they, earlier in the season? And indeed, in the game at Easter Road, Celtic put 4 past them. It was 6 at Celtic Park as James Hill wins the goal kick off Greg Taylor down in front of us here. We're in the final 5 of the 90.
Liam, as I've said earlier, I wouldn't fault Hearts' attitude and desire to work. Celtic are just better. They're all over the park, they're better. Hearts are missing players, yes. Would it make a difference? Possibly. Would Celtic win? Probably. But, Hearts have acquitted themselves as well as they can, I think, today. They've made mistakes, as they will do. But the Celtic team just keep rolling on.
If you're taking Craig Gordon, Craig Halkett, Benny Beningame, Lawrence Shanklin, Liam Boyce, and there are others.
Snodgrass.
You take all of them out of the side. It makes it so much more difficult.
They have you look at this, Shanklin, Boyce and Humphreys, 3 strikers.
Yeah, Humphreys as well, yeah. Here's Callum McGregor. He'll look at to hoist the Scottish Cup above his head at the start of June. Looking like winning the title. 9 points clear at the top of the Premiership, plus that massive goal difference advantage on Rangers as well. So Callum McGregor hoists the Scottish Cup above his head at the start of June. It will be a treble for Celtic as Kobayashi comes forward. It's going to be very interesting to see what the semi-final draw throws up. Wraith will want to cause an upset at Ibrox, but if that goes to form and goes to the odds, then Rangers will be in the semis as well. That semi-final draw, if that throws up a Celtic-Rangers game, What an opportunity for one of the lower league clubs. Cali Thistle, Falkirk United. Raith might fancy it as well, of course. So Partick Thistle give Rangers a game in the last round as Celtic pick up on the far side. Iwata to O to Abada, can't make it stick, but Mackay can only put it out for a throw into Celtic on the far side as we approach 87 minutes with Celtic leading by 3-0.
Yeah, I think that's another feature that's underestimated with this Celtic team, too, winning the ball back. Winning the ball back, they lose it, they're not going to keep it all the time, but when they lose it, they work in almost in packs to win it back, and they've got that built into their DNA now.
Kobayashi squaring it to Carter-Vickers. It's the half-time sub, Kobayashi for Starfelt. Iwata out to Johnston. He passes it off Alan Forrest and out for a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. Big game for Hearts next week actually at Pittodrie. Aberdeen have sensed that third place might not be completely unattainable for them. He would put them as big outsiders. Hibs closing in as well. They've got a difficult game at Celtic Park. Hearts win that one, they could, assuming Celtic beat Hibs at Celtic Park, they could really put some distance between them and the other two next weekend. Oh Hyun-Gyu shoots and it's blocked, and now it's with O'Reilly's right hand side of the Hearts box. He shoots and it's saved relatively comfortably by Clark. We go into the final 2 minutes. 3-0 Celtic. So that's a huge game, and it's a strange fixture, that one, because both Hearts and Aberdeen have got pretty good home records against each other. As Hearts go to Pittodrie next Saturday, Al.
Well, I know my pal Willie Miller's written his column this week. I've actually got a copy of it, that Aberdeen will tip Hearts. So, Willie, if you're listening, don't drink on an empty head.
I know Aberdeen won at Tannadice last week, but they're not playing all their remaining games at Pittodrie, where they've been pretty good, you would have to say. So it's going to be a difficult afternoon for Hearts, you would imagine, next week as well. It's going to be a really interesting match, that one, for sure, as Carter-Vickers rolls it to Hart. All 6 Premiership matches taking place on the Saturday next week ahead of the international break, as Kobayashi comes forward and rolls it out to the left for Taylor. Knocks it forward to McGregor and then out to Jota on the left hand side. We're approaching minute 90. Jota in front of Atkinson, gets it across the 18-yard line for O. Snipped away from him slightly as Johnston comes forward and runs into trouble in the shape of Devlin. Now it's Forrest, and he's been completely and utterly ransacked by 3 Celtic players. And it's one here with Leila Bada forward to O. He knocks it back to McGregor. Oh Hyun-Gyu's been brought down. Yellow card comes out for Kai Rowles, and that's going to be a Celtic free kick just outside the box.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous position. Is that far enough out to get it up and down, and it's also relatively in the centre of the pitch. Difficult one for Sander Clark, who's played well in this game so far today. He's had some very, very good saves.
Hello to listeners on BBC Radio Scotland FM and on Sounds who are listening to Off the Ball. We're in the closing stages here at Tynecastle. Celtic very much heading through to the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. 3-0 up they are. Moy and Kyogo in the first half, either end of the first half, and Carter-Vickers with the third, just to finally finish Hearts off. And they've got a free kick here just outside the D. Just 2 minutes of injury time have been added on. We're into the first of those. And Jota and Matt O'Reilly are the 2 Celtic players over this free kick as they look to finish with a flourish here in the capital.
Pat, I know that you're most of your life in Scotland. Obviously we need goalkeepers for the Scotland squad. Would Xander come into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always liked him. He's a good profile, makes saves.
Jota's going to take the free kick right-footed. It's deflected over the crossbar, and it will be a corner to Celtic over on the far side. Saw a report today, I know Steve Clark's been after him before, that Angus Gunn could be coming into the squad. He's previously turned down the chance to join the Scotland senior squad in favour of waiting for his chance with England. Brian Gunn's son.
I think there'd be a conversation with David Marshall.
I would have thought they would have had, but I'm not sure if he perhaps likes having the time off nowadays, having served his country so well for the best part of 2 decades, the Hibs captain. As Taylor rolls it out to Abada on the near side, ticking through the stoppage time here. It's going to be interesting to see who Steve Clark names as his goalkeepers. Angus Gunn's name doesn't seem to go away, and with Xander Clark and Liam Kelly already part of the squad, you would imagine they would be involved as well. Those games against Cyprus and Spain Long ball down that right-hand side, headed clear, bouncing around in the midfield. Awata heading it forward. Oh Hyun-gyu takes it over, but he can't keep it in play, and it goes out for a throw into Hearts. We're into the final 20 seconds of the injury time packet. How do you rate the Celtic performance today?
Yeah, I think a very, very good first half. Second half a little bit off it, allowed Hearts to come into it a little bit, but then just obviously getting that third goal just kills the game. But that's it.
Celtic through to the semis. They were favourites to win this one, but on paper this was one of the tougher assignments in the Scottish Cup. They're going back to Hampden, where they enjoyed League Cup success just 13 days ago. They are through to the semi-finals, where they join Inverness Cally Thistle, who beat Kilmarnock last night. So 2 of the 4 names are now known. And they made pretty short work of Hearts, in truth. Hearts with injury problems to key men. It's been the story of their season, and they will have to refocus their attention on finishing best of the rest in the Premiership, which is in many ways, without a trophy, it's in many ways a success. Financially, in particular, for any of the clubs out with the top 2. Celtic came out the trap so quickly, scoring inside 2 minutes through Moy. The second arriving just on the stroke of half-time from Kyogo, as he cleverly flicked home a Jota low ball into the box, with Carter-Vickers scoring late on with a header from the free kick, which he'd won himself in the edge of the Hearts box, and he nodded it down past Zander Clark to ensure that Celtic rubber-stamped their place in the last 4 of the 22-23 Scottish Cup. It now means they've won 13 successive matches in all competitions since drawing at Ibrox. They're unbeaten in 21 since losing in the Bernabeu in their final Champions League game in Madrid in early November. They're unbeaten in 27 domestic matches since losing in Paisley in September. They've scored 87 goals in those 27 matches, to the concession of just 19. Is there anyone that can stop them? It could be, depending on the draw from this point, that they go through and play lower league teams in the semis and the final. Who knows? It depends what happens elsewhere with Raith Rovers at Ibrox tomorrow, and that game between Falkirk and Ayr United on Monday's Kyogo Furuhashi traditionally leads the Celtic supporters in post-match celebration. The Hearts players are applauding the fans who are left. Many headed out when Carter-Vickers found the net with that third goal. But the question is just who can stop this Celtic side from winning a treble this season. It looks as though Rangers might be the most difficult task for them, as you would expect it to be. But when will they play them? Will they play them? We'll find out in the days ahead. But for now, it is Cally Thistle and it is Celtic who are through to Monday evening Scottish Cup semi-final draw, because it finished here in the capital at Tynecastle Park. Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 3.
The Scottish